everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all. So today I would like to speak a little bit about the story of my company and the journey that we did through the modern advertising and new technology in general. And I would like to also share with you the new approach we are trying to bring into our production, our project. And this is the solution of many years of trying to try different things, improve our method, and discover new things, basically. So, this is me. I actually started as a photographer in Rome. I studied photography, and my idea was to discover this way of making content. Basically, I started photography when I was 7 years old. In my mind, when I was 18, that was my future. So I went to Rome and started studying 3 years of photography. And at the end of my journey, I moved to London. And so I thought that London was the right place for me to explore my skills and to discover new things. And of course I work a lot on photography for the first 2 years, but then discovering new things, meeting people, start collaborating with other studios and professionals, I understood that something was missing, basically. And so I did an experiment with a couple of friends. We tried to make a fashion feed video that we made for a client in an interactive piece. So with that, I started working for a creative production company in London that specialized in interactive content. I started working as a photographer with them, assistant director, and then I discovered that with the click I can start adding interaction to the content that I was creating, and that became completely mind-blowing for me. And so I started to explore this new way of communicating, this new way of making content. So I was looking, of course, for a solution. So I dig in of course, dealing with the others, members of the studio, the other people that I found in London, and finally, of course, the technology was the solution for me to explore different way of communicating and do storytelling, basically. London is nice, it's great, I love it. But after a couple of years, I realized that wasn't the place for me, and so I had the opportunity to come back to Italy, working with the same company that I used to work in London, working on the digital advertising, but from their Italian offices. So I moved back and I found my colleagues there, and they were super talented, and they are now super talented coders, creative coders, and so we decided to split from the previous company. We decided to open MONOGRID, our own company, and I found myself in the middle of such talented people that know technology, know how to work with technology, but I was a bit, I don't want to say alone, but I understood that something was missing again. And what was missing? Was missing the content of this technology. So we were super strong in technology by itself, but we were missing a point of contact, at least at the beginning, the point of contact between content and technology. By luck, I would say, we found that point of contact in virtual reality, and I think virtual reality was the good medium at the time. I'm speaking about 5 years ago now. Was a good medium because it really, at the beginning, especially virtual reality, so we're talking about 360 videos basically, the interactivity wasn't there yet, so as it is now. And so we found that the content, the simple content and video that everybody used to know became much more interesting with adding interaction, basically. And the virtual reality in 360 degrees videos are the simplest interaction you can have, and the seamless interaction the human can discover, which is what seeing around, turning your head and looking around you. In the same time, we partnered with Cattleya, which is probably the biggest film production company in Italy. They born from cinema and they evolve in TV series for Sky and Netflix, and they have a branch for advertising, and we collaborate with them a lot. And I would like to showcase about a couple of projects we did with them, and in particular this one, which is the I don't know if you ever heard the series Gomorrah, is on Sky, is a crime scene in Naples, and we decided to basically a spin-off of the series in virtual reality. So with the screenwriter of Cattleya, we write down the script for 15 minutes show, all in virtual reality, and that was super interesting because the first time the script arrived on my desk, in the first page there were 5 jump cuts, just in the first page of 40 of scripts, and of course in virtual reality that's not possible, so we have to rewrite everything with the screenwriter together with the people who were more into the use of that particular technology, and that was really a fascinating process, creative process for us, and this is the result. So we understood that the technology without the content, without the idea, was nothing, and we found in this project that result because in the TV series the storyline is the main piece basically. So adding the technology to this storyline, we discovered that we can expand our possibility in many different ways, and so we started in 2014 with interactive website pretty much, and then we started adding using of technology to different kind of content, so virtual reality, as you said, augmented reality, projection mapping, apps, interactive installation, video, etc. And in 5 years, every year we add something new, and we try to contaminate the things that we learn from a new way of using technology to another field. So I don't know in Greece, but in general in Italy, for example, all the studios are really vertical on one kind of technology. So there are the studios that do virtual reality, that do only virtual reality, the studios that are doing interactive installation, doing the studio augmented reality, interactive website, etc. We try to mix all together, and this to follow also the trend of the industry, because every year, especially fashion brands, want to test new things, want to be the first one to use the new technology, so they are really demanding to discover something new, basically. But at the same time, we found a method of approaching projects that we didn't have before. So we tried to contaminate with things that we discover in augmented reality. We contaminate website with website. We contaminate interactive installation. With video, we contaminate projection mapping and blah blah. So our approach, and the guys realized that the approach of our project completely changed in just 3 years. And I brought our showreel today, and it's not to show off, it's just to, and it helps also me to understand how many different things we build in such short time, and such many different way of interacting and communicate with our audience. Before our client arrived to us and brief us with a credit pitch, and we comes out with just one single output. We comes out, if they arrive to us for a website, we comes out with a website. If they arrive to us for a virtual reality experience, we comes out with a virtual reality experience solution, creative solution. After a few years, we understand that if a pitch arrives, if a brief arrives, it doesn't mean that you have to respond with the exact same thing that the client is expecting. So we try to respond with different solution, and mostly of the time, the first solution, the creative solution we discover evolved along the project and help the client to have different outputs on different channels. And especially if you're starting with the same idea and if you know how to mix technology between different outputs, it became also a value for the client, because in terms of investment, you're developing one project that is spreading on multi-channel application. This is an example. This is a WebGL web interactive experience for Google, and basically is data visualization of Google Trends. So you choose the topic, the subject that you think that you will care most in the next year, and you build your kind of a totem of your hopes, basically. And then you save it and you share your totem with different subjects and the things that you hope for the future with the community. So you can make a comparison between you, maybe in Italy, that you believe in something, and another user in Greece, another user in the US believes in something else. And then if you dig in the single stone, you have a data visualization of the trends, how many people in the world in the last 5 years search for that particular subject. And that was the answer to the brief, basically, the first answer to the brief. While we were developing the project, we proposed to the client why to do not expand the idea, the project, with the same structure, with the same goals, but on a different platform. So we took the exact same experience and we developed an augmented reality experience for the user. So instead of having your choices on a flat screen, you have to make all the choices all around you, watching in augmented reality the space around you, and you project the totem in front of you. And if you work forward and closer to the totem, the single stones explode and you discover the timeline of the research that Google Trends recorded in the last year. And that was super nice also because it's geolocated, so if I put my totem here and you download the app, you will discover my totem in this exact same location. And we also discovered this new way of interacting in augmented reality. So instead of clicking something, we thought, why, since the device, the technology allows me to know where I am in the space, why do not interact just moving forward a 3D object, a virtual 3D object in front of me instead of clicking it? So we developed this feature, as I said before, so you work through the totem and you discover the content. So we changed the way of approaching briefs, and we changed also the way of approaching references. And I teach in a couple of universities in Italy, and to my students and to the new guys that are coming in the studio, I always tell them to look for references for a certain kind of project, for a certain field in a different field. Because at the beginning, again, pitch arrived, it's a website, look for reference for a website, I bring website references. We started doing a different different way. If a pitch arrives and the result is a website, maybe it's not, but if the result is a website, we look for references on art installation or video or other field, basically. This is an example. This is an artist who is making this. We found it online. We're making this installation that are optical illusion, basically, so you can see the final shape only from a certain perspective. And we thought, starting from this, why we cannot make a game out of this? And so we developed this Maze-Lit project, which is an internal project. We do a lot of R&D during the year to discover and experiment with new technology or new way of approaching design or user experience. And so we built this. So we built this puzzle game where basically in augmented reality you put in front of you an impossible figure, 3D impossible figure, and to unlock the next level you have to move physically around the 3D object until you find a good perspective. So it's exactly as the reference I showed before. And developing this, we also we start from a reference that is not related to the things that we would like to do. We would like to do a game. And then we start from a different references. We start fight with the creative solution to make these references work for the purpose we had. And then we found a solution in a different technology, because of course we can make this on a website or on a flat screen where we have to drag and drop the figure, rotate the figure until you find a good perspective. We thought, why do not do it in augmented reality, so I don't have to touch the screen anymore and just walk and move myself around the object. And actually we developed this before the Google project I showed you before, and we bring the experience of this project into the other one. So the fact to moving in towards the 3 object is coming from this R&D. So it's nice. Today I saw many times using the word of fluid approach, of fluid design, and it means that we are all on the same level, and I'm really happy about that. So we build a fluid approach to our project, basically. So we start to do not thinking of one different output. We start to do not thinking about references that came from the same field. We try to mix all the technology together in order to create something new. And so that is our recipe to create something that is never done before. So we start from something that interests us, and this is provocative because I use Pinterest every day, but I try to push my guys and my students to do not rely only on this kind of platform, and this because the algorithm between under all those platforms push to the same content to the user. So if I'm looking for light interactive installation, if I write down light interactive installation, everybody in the world that are looking for the same thing as I am are seeing the same images. So probably everybody in the world comes out with the idea that is really close to each other. And of course, this is not super easy to do, because of course all the tools that are online are super helpful. But we need to be careful to use it too much if you want to make something different. As again, non-related references are the key. So when we comes out with the idea that are coming from non-related reference was amazing for us, because it's a new sensation, new approach to the creative process. It was really exciting. And of course, since we have a technology background, we try to put technology in our idea every time. And since we develop many skills in different fields of using technology, that is quite natural for us in let's say, in a creative process. This is a project we did for Fendi a few months ago. It's an interactive installation in Le Bon Marché in Paris. And this is an exact example of what I said before. The client arrived to us and said, look, I have to do something to promote my new bags. I would like to do something in the shop, in the store. I'm making a pop-up store in Le Bon Marché in Paris, so please comes out with the idea that helped me to showcase my new product. Okay. Instead of starting from an interactive installation, of course, the first idea to us was to make an interactive installation because it's our, let's say, is our field. But we start not from the technology; we start from the design of the object that we would like to put in front of the user. So, since all the fashion luxury customers are used to go in this pop-up store or the store and discover beautiful piece of furniture that are not interactive, we start to design a beautiful piece of furniture that it is interactive. So we try to hide the technology as much as we can inside the furniture. And it's a 3-screen fake mirror screen, so there is a mirror in front of it, and it's completely turned off until you move by the table. Once you step for the table, it turns on, so you discover you have a wow effect, a surprise, because you don't think to find an interactive mirror, you just think to find a normal mirror, a normal makeup mirror. And then we hide the sensor on the bottom of the table, and you don't see the sensor at all. And once you put your hand above the table, you start interacting with a 3D environment that is built inside of the screens. So there is no tutorial until you step in front of the piece of furniture. There's nothing you can touch physically. There is no screen. There is an iPad, but just to take a picture at the end of the experience. And that was for us super interesting, and it went so well that they bring it to different venues after that one. And this because usually they tell us, look, they work amazingly because the other interactive installation that our competitors are doing, or the other installation we did in the past, the technology is so visible. So I see a monitor which is there, I see the sensor which is on the floor, on a shelf, whatever, and I feel the technology. In this piece, you don't feel that, and I think was the interesting part of it. So, what's happened when a new tool arrives? I start, let's say 10 years ago, and there were Flash, Photoshop 6 maybe. Every year a new tool arrives. Unity, Unreal Engine, Photoshop in the latest version, Sketch, InVision, blah blah. When a new tool arrives, we need to develop an approach of using it in a smart way. For example, the latest tool we dig in is Spark AR. I don't know if how many of you knows Spark AR? Okay, so basically it's the software that Facebook developed to build Instagram and Facebook filter. And in the last few months, it's available for everybody to publish the filter on your own page. When this tool arrives, and it's a tool that is made on purpose from Facebook for everybody, so you can make a filter, anyone can make a filter in 20 minutes. If you start from the tutorial that they're gonna show you, which are 5 tutorials: one to make a mask, one to change the background, one to add particles in front of you, and another one to make a 3D object on your head. Full stop. So the problem that we saw in the community is that everybody was starting to doing the same thing, because they start from the tutorial. Of course, they just change the asset in a creative way, of course, but they start to changing assets, and they develop something which is okay, but which is quite similar to all the rest of the content outside. So we decided to approach it in a different way, and we took the reference, which is probably more far from the reference that Facebook provide you when you download when you download the software, because the software have two levels. One which is super easy and super intuitive, and one which is low down coding. So you have to code every effect that you want to produce. We start from these images, which is analogic images take, I think, in the 90s of oil and floating on water. So something really far from what we are looking for. And we developed this set of filters that are all code-based. So we don't use the asset that Spark AR that Facebook gives you by default. We just develop every single effect in this. And you can discover it on our Instagram profile. There is a button for filters, and you can discover and try yourself all those filters. But we don't want to stop this new way of approaching a new tool on the platform that is supposed to be. So we decided to bring it as an interactive installation. So we built an interactive installation where all the monitors have a smartphone connected, and each smartphone have one of the filters we develop, and then you see the people passing by this interactive wall without doing anything, because you don't have to do anything, to touch anything, but you see your image distort in many different ways, and people interact a lot with it, taking picture, trying, moving around all the different screen was so nice. And this, for me, is another example of this new approach we're bringing in, because we are approaching a new software in a new way, with references that are really, really far from the output that you're supposed to make with the software, and then we build a physical installation with a tool that is made to do something for the social network, which is not physical at all. All this research and development we did on these softwares, of course, pays out and allow us to produce a Facebook filter for Prada that was launched in the last Fashion Week. And here we bring all the knowledge from the research and development we did in the last month. And apart the filter is still online. If you go to the Prada Instagram page, you can try it yourself. The filter is divided in two things. One part is the effect that you can apply on your face. So you have a kind of set of makeup, a golden makeup to apply on your face, and the other part is a 3D object that you can project in front of you in the real space, and like to immerse yourself in the Prada world. And this because in the fashion show they did everything was made by tiles. All the environment made by tiles, and all the columns were gold, because Prada had these gold elements that they're returning every collection. So we decided to build a thing that, in a way, recalled the look and feel, the mood on the fashion show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesco. I have to say, wow. So, speaking of wow, we are very curious to find out if what we just saw is an average project for MONOGRID. For start. It's the average project that you...
Yeah. Well, this is a good selection, but we try to focus on special project only. So we are, let's say, if our clients know us to develop projects that are not the common project, but are a special project for them, which is a good thing because you can experiment every time, and it's a bad thing because you have to experiment every time, so you not rely on something that is known 100%.
So what would you say it's the average time that you usually need to deliver a project like this, and how many people are usually involved?
Usually it takes between 6 to 8 weeks for us to develop to deliver a project.
Okay, wow again.
Coverage.
Wow again.
Our team is composed by 25 people, but usually 6-7 people work on one single project at a time.
I see. And what are the specialties that you usually need to take care of a project like that?
What? Sorry?
What are the specialties, that the job descriptions that you have in your team?
We try to cover all the steps. So we have creative direction, art direction, UX, motion, developers, Q&A, 3D artists, creative technology. So people that are more familiar with using different technology.
And do you usually have, let's say, a product owner? You have a role such as project management, who takes care of the whole procedure, the time plan, the scope of the project?
Yeah,
usually?
so basically I'm in charge of the creative direction and at the high level. So at the beginning, me and the team decide which the project has to be. And then there is a producer and a project manager that are following the project in the everyday work, while the producer is in charge of finding the good resources for the project. And the project manager is in charge of be sure that all the tasks that the producer give to the team are done in time.
They're on time, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
I have nothing to say, but wow, a big wow for me as well.
Thank you
I was
very much.
mesmerized by your presentation.
Thank you.
And excellent idea to use the GIFs. I'm going to steal that in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.